Hello. So sorry for the delay. Am I now live in Facebook? I'm still having issues with my slides. I was having issues with my webcam, and then, of course, my laptop decided it needed to reboot and do updates and all that shenanigans. So I'm really sorry that I'm late. Is anybody gonna join me? Hopefully people haven't come and gone and seen I wasn't here. Sure somebody will join me in a mo. Right, what's happening? Where is my what's happening with my slides? Share my slides, share my screen. Welcome anybody who's coming on. Welcome if you are joining in on. There we go. Got it. Welcome if you're joining on replay. Very welcome. Am I live? I'm just looking over here on my other laptop so I can keep an eye on Facebook and comments, etc. So. So welcome to day two. Welcome to day two of wait, where are my slides? Why are my slides not in? Oh, it's good fun, isn't it? Technology. We love it when it works. Where are my slides? Interesting. So sorry about that. Right, I'm going to start talking anyway, and hopefully the slides are just going to suddenly appear. I don't understand why. Don't understand why they're not showing in my view at the moment. I've got them in, yeah. So anyway, welcome to day two. And sorry about all that muddle. Day two of 3 secrets to liking and accepting your body just as it is. So if you joined me yesterday, hopefully you did. Hopefully you've watched on catch up if you weren't able to make it live to yesterday, part one. We talked all about, what did we talk about? It's made me all flustered, hasn't it? We're here to talk for the next few minutes, next little while, about liking your body. And as I said yesterday, I used the word liking, and I'm hesitant to use that word, and there's no right word when we talk about how we feel about our bodies that's going to apply to everyone. So sometimes I talk about liking. I always avoid talking about loving our bodies because so many of us are so far away from that. If we are currently hating our bodies or totally dissociated with our bodies or just feeling really uncomfortable in our bodies, we are not going to necessarily, we're not going to, it's not going to resonate with us thinking about loving our bodies because it might feel so unattainable and far away. So I talk about liking our bodies. And if that's too uncomfortable and too much of a stretch, let's think about accepting our bodies as they are. And the whole idea of just thinking a lot less about them. So how much time, headspace, energy is consumed by you thinking about your body in some way or another, whether it's food, whether it's what to wear, whether you're going to move it, how you're going to move it, should I be exercising, all of that sort of stuff. How much of your time and energy is consumed? And wouldn't you like it to be a lot less than it is? So that's what we're talking about today. And you're in the right place, exactly as you were yesterday. If you, you're in the right place. If any of these apply, if any of these sound familiar, give me a yes, give me a heads up, give me a comment. Even if you're watching on replay, I'll come back to you to the comments. If you just wish you could look different, you could just lose those last few pounds or stone, drop that dress size. You've tried all the diets and you can't find the one that works. Bonus secret is one of the 3: diets don't work. They don't work long term. They might work short term, most of them do, but 95+% of them don't work long term. If you feel rubbish when you look in the mirror, if you always think everybody looks better than you, that comparison is a bitch, isn't it? Constantly thinking, why can't I look a bit more like her? Why can't I look more, whatever it may be. If you hate weighing yourself, but you just can't stop, I recommend you ditch the scales, find a different way of weighing your suitcases when you're going on holiday. That's the only thing they're good for, but there are other types of scales available for that. If you have a love-hate relationship with food, we're going to be specifically talking about food today and eating. If you don't wear the clothes you wish you could wear, if you're holding back from wearing what would make you feel good and express yourself because you feel rubbish, you don't want to draw attention. If you hate certain parts of your body, if your clothes never feel right, if you struggle to get ones that fit and are comfortable, and if you don't do stuff, we talked a lot yesterday. Please do go watch yesterday's replay if you haven't already. We talked so much about the things we hold ourselves back from because of how we feel about our bodies. And we all agreed that, it's time to stop. It's time to start living life. Life is too short, isn't it? Welcome to those joining me. Sorry I was late hopping on. So it's particularly at this time of year, we start thinking about the summer clothes. Maybe you'd like to wear summer dresses. Maybe you want to go swimming. Down here in Brighton, feel they can't because of how is that you? Would you wish you could wear shorts in the summer, but you don't want to get your legs out? You're too embarrassed. Do you feel guilty when you're having an ice cream on the beach? Do you think people are looking at you and judging? So a lot of yesterday was about people aren't looking at you and thinking the things you think they're thinking. But yeah, I will have to check if I've got that right. Diets are frustrating, as I say, and some of us feel a lot of strong feelings towards our body, but some women I work with have almost kind of dissociated themselves with their body. They don't want to think about their body because it makes them feel sad, angry, frustrated, disgusted, all of those things. So they've almost dissociated themselves from it. So they just think of themselves as a human being from the neck up. So do any of those resonate? Pop me a comment in the comments below if you can. I'd love to see. I don't know who's watching until I see your name pop up with a comment. So I'd love to see who's with me today. You're very, very welcome. And if you want to click on StreamYard, that StreamYard link above my video. I'm just looking at my second screen. That's why I keep looking over here. If you click on that, it just means that I can see the name of the person that's left the comment rather than it just saying Facebook user. Hello. I can see a messages just pop up. Lots of it resonates. Your name will appear like magic in a moment. So just a reminder, there is a prize that you could be in with a chance of winning if you watch all 3 of the masterclasses. And you collect. I'm giving away a phrase towards the end of each of those ones. Collect all 3 phrases and email me before Sunday night at 8, and you'll be in with a chance to win a prize, which is an hour of power hour of coaching with me, one-to-one. And if you're local to me in Brighton and Hove, we can do that face-to-face. If not, we can do it online. And this is just a little quote from the person who won a power hour with me recently. And we got so much out of it. She came thinking she wanted to talk about one thing to do with body image. We ended up talking about something very different, and it had a really big effect on her. In fact, what I challenged her to do, because she was becoming really conscious of how much she desperately needed to count everything, and particularly having a Fitbit or a smartwatch of some sort. She was counting her steps. She had to get those steps in, and it was becoming a bit of an obsession. So I challenged her to go to her exercise class without the Fitbit. And it was really interesting, her reaction to my suggestion to do that, and then the freedom and the liberation it gave her to not just be doing it because she could count the steps and count the calories and all the rest of it. So that's what you could win if you are lucky to be drawn out the hat, if you send me those 3 phrases by the end of the week. So I did this really quickly yesterday. I'm still not sure who's on with me. So I don't know if it's people who were here yesterday or different people. Either way, you're very, very welcome. So where are you at in your relationship? So this isn't about scoring your body on a scale of 1 to 100. This is about how good is your relationship with your body. So if you're super, super happy, you love your body, wouldn't change a thing about it, you'd be at 100. If you hate your body, wish you could change everything about it, you'd be at a 1. And 50 is around something like, I'm okay with my body, I suppose. Pop me a number. Pop me a number in the comments. So this is what we're here to talk about, isn't it? That, this is what I gained when I shifted my mindset from being on diets and trying to shrink myself. And I talk now about shrinking myself, both physically with diets, trying to lose weight, constantly trying to lose weight, get into my goal weight, thinking, yeah, I just need a bit more and that'll make me happy. Going from that to, oh, good. So less harsh than yesterday, your score's gone to a 10. Love that. Let's get it up a little bit more today. Yeah, so I had this transformation and just fully accepted my body exactly as it is. I said yesterday, I sometimes love it and I sometimes see beauty in it. And some days I'm just like, yeah, that's all right. Or maybe I don't like what I see, but I don't let it ruin my day. I don't let that bring me down and affect my mood and affect my mental health in the way that it used to do. So, and that, as I said yesterday, has had a ripple effect onto every area of my life. It has given me permission. I've given myself permission to show up more, to follow my dreams, to have confidence, to not care so much what people think. I never would have been doing this live on Facebook, talking about this passion of mine a few years ago. It just wouldn't have occurred to me to get in front of the camera and do that. So I'm no longer trying to be someone I'm not. I'm even writing a book. I can't believe it when I say that out loud. But it will come eventually. It's in gestation. I don't know how long it's going to be. Anyway, so secret one we talked about yesterday, that people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. So it's okay to give less shits about what they might think. That was secret one. Today we are on secret 2. This is about you can eat without worrying about your weight. Lots of people don't believe me when I say that because it is so ingrained in us, isn't it? It's so stuck in our minds that we're told it from a young age, from every direction, from media, from parents, perhaps family, upbringing, school, education, that, particularly as women, and I think men as well, to some extent, you have to be careful what you eat. You do, to the extent that you don't want anything poisonous. You don't want to be picking wild mushrooms from the fields. Yes, you do need to be careful. You don't know what you might get, but you don't have to be careful in the way that we have been taught. We have this real love-hate. We come to fear food, don't we? So being overweight is not linked so directly to being unhealthy in the way that we've been led to believe. Where that comes from, I'm just wondering how much of a tangent to go down, but I go into a lot of detail about this in my my online programs and workshops I do and stuff. But we've been told so much by diet culture, and it is in the interest of the diet companies to tell us food is bad, to tell us all these terrible things will happen to us. Our health will suffer if we eat too much or the wrong things and all that sort of stuff. Oh, and they've got a solution. They've got diets that we can go on that we have to pay a fortune for, and they will fix everything. They'll make us happy and make us healthy. And that's not true. And from this has come this massive fat phobia. People are scared and judgmental of people who are classed as overweight. And beauty standards tell us that we have to be thin to be beautiful. We have to be beautiful to be worthy, and all of that stuff. But a lot of the time, doctors buy into this as well. Doctors have been taught all this stuff, and there's so much research that undoes, that challenges a lot of the connections and causation that we've been told that being overweight causes so many illnesses and conditions. Anyway, that's a slight tangent for today. Does this picture, how does this picture make you feel? Can you relate to it? So she's in a bigger body in the first and the before, saying I'll be happier if I'm skinnier. She gets skinny. Nope, that wasn't it. So have you ever been there? Have you lost the weight that you think you ought to be losing and got there and found that actually that it wasn't that, it was something else? I've got a client who I worked with quite recently. So she had this magical weight in her mind. I can't remember what it was now, but she had this specific weight, she doesn't even know where that figure came from, that she should be, this particular weight came from her teenage years. So she had this magical number. This weight was going to make her happy and healthy and all the rest of it. And she got there. She dieted in her late teens. She got there. And then she started obsessing about her teeth to the point where she nearly went and spent an absolute fortune on cosmetic work. And her teeth were absolutely fine. She didn't do it in the end. And her teeth were absolutely fine. But it was just something else to obsess about, something else to focus her frustration and her feelings onto. She then gained the weight like most people do after diets, regained the weight, became bigger than she'd even started. And then she did it again a number of years later, lost the weight. And then she had an obsession about her skin. Her skin wasn't perfect enough. It was too blemished. It was, she had too many spots. And it just showed so clearly how thinness is not going to give people the happiness that they expect it to, because we've been told all our lives that it will. So it could be anything that you start obsessing about instead. It could be cellulite, stretch marks, how you're maybe loose skin. So some people, if they've lost skin that they feel really uncomfortable about. It could be people that are just prone to more spots than other people. It could be body hair. It could be something about your hair on your head. You know, I've met people with very, very curly hair who have struggled with that as a body image issue for a long time. They've just never felt comfortable with it. Something about your face, something about, you know, a particular feature on your face. There are so many things that we might end up obsessing about. And it's at that point about losing weight doesn't make us happy. Because it's not about how we look, is it? It's about how we feel inside, and that's what we need to shift. So yeah, Kay, you're saying that this resonates. So food in particular, why do we have this difficult relationship with? So it's because of the moral value we put on food. We talk about food as good or bad, don't we? It falls into one camp or the other. There's very few things that are in between if we think so black and white, and so one or the other. Things are healthy or they're unhealthy. And I've really struggled sometimes when my kids have come back from school, they've done a healthy eating session, and they come back talking about foods that are unhealthy. And yes, there are foods. I think it's really important to try and take these moral values off food, because then we fall into these camps of we should be eating that, but we want to eat that, and that's a treat, and that's really naughty. And it's cheating, and it's, you know, I was on Slimming World for a long time, and it was I can't even believe they used the word, and I don't know if they still use it, the terminology sins for the extra little treats and bits and bobs that you're allowed on top of your free food. It's just, yeah, that just kind of sums it up, doesn't it? So if we put this moral value on food, if food is good or bad, naughty or nice, healthy or unhealthy, then surely by default, we are good or bad, depending on what we've eaten. We are good or bad, depending on the choices we've made and the amount of food we've had that day. We are healthy or unhealthy. If we eat unhealthy food, we're going to be unhealthy. If we eat healthy food, we're going to be healthy. It's not that simple. Yes, of course, there's some element of some kernel of truth in that. But the way I like to look at it is that some foods have more nutritional value than others. All foods give you something, whether it is an emotional benefit, whether it is an energy boost, like pure sugar. If your body is really craving pure sugar, maybe it is because you are having an energy slump and it needs a pick-me-up. It doesn't necessarily plan ahead, your mind might, but your body might not plan ahead to say, hang on, this will give me massive sugar burst and a massive energy boost, but it will be so short-lived and then I'll come crashing down. Your body might be craving sugar because it's tired, because it needs energy to do something. So I don't know if you can actually, can you see the picture on the screen? So I'll read it out because I think it's brilliant in case it's too small. So she's saying, the first woman's saying, I'm so bad for eating that cake. And the other woman's saying, for F's sake, Sharon, you're eating food, not burning down an orphanage. And absolutely, unless you are eating whilst burning down an orphanage, you are doing something else terrible. You're not a bad person for eating. You're not a bad person. So, yeah, we get it ingrained, don't we, that if we eat that, we'll get fat, and fat means unhealthy, and it means an increase in BMI, which is a whole nother topic of that I could go off on a tangent in. But all of those things, being fat, being unhealthy, having a high BMI, means we're unattractive, means we're lazy, means we're unworthy, unlovable. That's what we've been told all our lives, and all of it is bullshit. I call bullshit on all of it. So what is the cost then of maintaining this, believing these things, believing these lies? So diets work short term. And when I'm talking about diets, I'm talking about any restriction of what you're eating, when you're eating. So if, and with an intention to lose weight. So fasting, so many people swear by fasting. If they are doing it with the intention of losing weight, it's a form of dieting. Noom, for example, is such a classic one because it is so popular and it's making millions of pounds, and it claims not to be a diet, and it talks about how it's got all this psychology behind it, but it hasn't, as far as I'm aware, had, input from eating disorder specialists and that sort of thing, because it is quite, in my opinion, quite dangerous in the fact that things like it gets you to weigh every day. What better way to get you obsessed by your weight than to ask you to get on the scales every single day? It's a restrictive way of eating with an intention to lose weight, aka a diet. So diets work in the short term because of that calorie deficit, but in the long term, our bodies are so much more complicated than a simple sum of calories in versus calories out. It's so much more complex than that. So when we've been in a calorie deficit for a while or restricting our normal food intake, our body goes, oh crap, is there a famine? Because our body doesn't know the difference between intentional calorie and food consumption versus an actual shortage of food. Of course it doesn't. So then it goes into panic mode, into stress mode of, oh my God, I need to hold on to everything I've got, my fat stores. I need to hold on to everything that this human is giving me. So it stops working. Our metabolism slows down to hold on to what we already have. So we might try harder. Okay, it's stopped working. I've plateaued with my weight loss. I need to restrict more. And then it slows down even more. So we go down this big spiral. So eventually we're going to give up, aren't we? We're going to get frustrated. We're going to get sick of restricting and perhaps being miserable because we're not eating what we want. We're eating stuff that we don't want to eat. And we give up. We go back to our normal ways of eating. Then, surprise, surprise, we put often more. So often when we start eating normally again or start increasing our calorie intake again, our body goes, okay, brilliant, famine's over. Let's just shove it all in. Let's keep hold of it. Because there might be another famine in a few weeks. So we just need to take on as much as we can and hold on to it. So that's why we, in very simple terms, that's why we often statistically put on more weight and end up heavier than before we started the diet. And who do we blame? We don't blame the diet because the diet makes us think it's our fault. It's us that have done it wrong. If only we'd have stuck to it. If only we could have had more discipline. If only I had more willpower, then the diet would have worked. It works for other people. They keep telling me all these statistics of all these millions of people who lose weight on it. Weight Watchers isn't a £1 billion company for nothing. But so they tell us to blame ourselves, but it's actually the diet. The diet is not going to work because diets don't for those reasons. So on comes the shame and guilt. And then that might lead to a binge cycle, a binge and restriction. So the other part of this is that as soon as we restrict something, naturally our subconscious wants it. As soon as we tell ourselves we can't have something or we're going to massively reduce our intake of something, what do we think? So I'm going to cut out chocolate for the next month. what is the one thing our subconscious is going to obsess about now? Flipping chocolate. You're going to see adverts for chocolate everywhere. Every person walking down the street will be having munching on a bar of chocolate. It's just going to become that obsession because you've told your subconscious and your conscious brain you're not allowed it. So we restrict and we restrict and restrict, and then as soon as we let the reins off a little bit, we binge, and we binge because we've restricted. So there's something about balance here. There's something about letting go of some of that control. And we're terrified to do that because we think that if we give ourselves permission to eat as much chocolate as we want, we will just sit and eat chocolate all day long, or whatever your particular treat food is, or your particular food that you crave a lot. It might be crisps, it might be cake, it might be whatever it might be. But as soon as we release that control and that restriction, we think we're going to binge. And maybe we will binge for a bit, but we're not going to sit and eat that food all day, every day for the rest of our lives. Our body will get to a point where it understands, actually, I don't need to consume so much of this. It's making me feel maybe a bit sick. Maybe my body actually craves a bit of broccoli because I've been eating chocolate and crisps for 3 days. And it starts to even itself out. It starts to relax even into knowing that chocolate is there in the cupboard means, and I'm allowed at any time, means I'm not actually that fussed, or maybe I'll have a little bit. And then on intuitive eating is something that I advocate, and that is part of how we accept our bodies. And it's so much more than what I've just discovered. And people think that intuitive eating is what I just said about sitting there and eating whatever you want, whenever you want, until you cannot possibly eat anything else. And it is not that. There's so much more to it than that. So I just want you to close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you've stopped this cycle. You have stopped restricting food. You have stopped binging on it because you've restricted it. And what freedom could that give you? So close your eyes for a moment, and I'll just talk through a few of the things that it might give you. So it might let you, having that freedom when you stop this cycle of restriction and guilt and shame and all of that stuff, it'll give you the freedom to eat what your body needs and wants. And like I say, that's not always going to be the thing that we think we're going to binge on for the rest of our lives. It'll give you the freedom and the ability to tune into your body's needs. So often we open the snack cupboard or think about what we're having for dinner, and there's something there, so we're going to have it, or we need something quick and easy because we're tired, or we can't be bothered to cook, whatever it may be. But this allows us, if we free up the headspace from obsessing about this, it allows us to just take a moment. Like, do I just want that cereal bar? Do I want that packet of crisps just because it's there and I just need to eat it? Or do I really fancy something else? Does my body want and crave something else that is worth actually spending 5, 10, 20 minutes preparing? My classic one is, and I'm not talking about smoothies that replace meals. No. I'm talking about, sometimes I just think my body is craving fresh fruit and good stuff and nutrients, and I'm like, I think about making a smoothie, and then I'm like, I can't be bothered, I haven't got time, need to get back to my computer or whatever it is. But I never regret. So getting out of this cycle will enable you to enjoy food without guilt. Imagine going out for dinner and not feeling like you've got to choose between, oh, maybe I should have a starter instead of a dessert. I shouldn't really have dessert. I don't need a dessert. Or having what you want. So sometimes we'll either restrict ourselves when we go out for dinner, which is supposed to be, you're going out for dinner, you're being served, someone's cooking for you, you're paying for the privilege. It's supposed to be an enjoyable experience, not a sitting there restricting and wondering what you can have and what you can't have. And particularly, oh gosh, it's nearly got me on a tangent about calories on menus. Don't look at the calories on menus. Ask, you've got the right to ask in a restaurant for a menu without calories on it. Most restaurants will have versions of it without calories on it. It's not going to help you. It's not helping anybody. Anyway, back to this. Close your eyes if you have opened them to just listen to me rant. When you stop this cycle, you can gain the freedom to trust your body. Now, I wonder how that feels. Trusting your body, the idea of trusting your body. Many of the women I work with are so terrified to trust their body because they've been taught for so long, most of their lives, not to trust their body, that their body can't be trusted to know what it needs in terms of food, movement, rest. How many of us plow through, and when we really need rest and we don't listen to our bodies and we power on and then regret it because we get ill or something. So learning to trust our bodies, can you imagine what feelings would that bring up? What would it mean that you could do if you let go of this control around food? Would it mean that you socialized more? Would it mean that you just really ate those foods you enjoy, which maybe you've not had for ages? Would it mean that you go out for dinner more, or you cook more adventurously? Would you try new things? What else would you do? And how would it feel to feel comfortable in your body? So other elements of intuitive eating are things like looking at emotional eating. When are you eating not because you're hungry, but because you're feeling a particular emotion? I'm sure that must resonate with people. I think everybody in the world does that to some extent. Intuitive eating is about really honoring your hunger and not eating because it's 5 o'clock and that's what time you do dinner for the kids. Eating because you're hungry. Maybe today you're not hungry at 5. Maybe you can wait a little while. And it's balancing all this up with actual realities of day-to-day life as well. So yes, the kids might need feeding. But maybe if you're not hungry, you can wait till a little bit later. But it doesn't mean you can't sit and eat with the kids, for example. And honoring fullness, that's the other end of the spectrum, isn't it? So not eating when we're not hungry, but also not eating beyond fullness as well, just because so many of those messages that we've been given, you must clear your plate, you must eat all your dinner if you want dessert, all of those things really do not honor our hunger and our body's actual needs. I could go on about intuitive eating and this element of it for ages. There are 10 principles to intuitive eating, and each one of them has a lot within it. So I could go on for hours. But the other element of this, so a lot of us get stuck in this weight loss because and maybe we start saying it's not about how I look, although sometimes I do think that people say it's not about how I look, it's about my health, but actually there is a very clear aesthetic element to that as well, that perhaps they're sort of denying to themselves, no, I'm trying to lose weight because of my health, and often it's both, but sometimes we talk about it being for our health when actually it's a lot to do with our looks as well, because of all the messages we get. But think about times when you have lost weight, and Kate, I think you said that you have done that thing of losing weight and then getting there and not feeling happy. But think about, so many people say to me, but when I do lose weight, I feel good. I feel better. I feel lighter. I feel like I can move more. I'm stronger. I have more energy. I can climb the stairs without getting out of breath. All of those things. But I say to them, well, how do you know? No, sorry. First question. What did you do to lose weight? Well, I ate better, I ate less low nutrition food, I ate more high nutrition food, I moved more, I exercised, maybe because of all of the above, I was sleeping better, all of these things. Maybe you were doing meditation, maybe you were doing like a whole holistic looking after yourself. Because if you're anything like me, I don't often do one or the other. I'm a kind of all or nothing, like many of us are. So when I used to go on a diet, I used to watch my food, exercise more, make sure I'm sleeping, drink less, maybe do some more meditation. It's kind of going all in. So is it really the numbers? What's making me feel better is my question. How do I know that it's the numbers going down on the scales that is making me feel physically and emotionally well? Well, maybe it's all of those other things I'm doing in order to reduce the numbers on the scales. So, and of course there is that element, because we've been told weight loss is good for us, then of course we step on the scales, and if the numbers have gone down, brilliant, we feel good, we've achieved something. If we're a group like Slimming World or Weight Watchers, we'll get a little cheer, maybe we'll get a little prize when we get to a certain weight loss. All of that stuff is gonna make us feel good. But what if we take that part of it away? What if we take away, we're not going to Weight Watchers or Slimming World anymore. We're not going to get on the scales, but we're doing all those behaviors. We're doing the meditation. We're eating lots of really, really nutritious food. We are moving our bodies more, not in a punishment for what we've eaten, but in a way that brings us joy and happiness and makes us feel good and strong in our bodies. And maybe we're doing more meditation. Maybe we're sleeping better because we're doing all those things. Then we're going to feel good, regardless of what the scales would say if we got on them. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, yeah, I covered all those points. Yeah, and weight can be so, if you have done that thing of losing weight and letting the scales determine your mood, measurement, don't go to the same Weight Watchers group, for example, every week. Scales are the scales in exactly the same place on the floor, because if they're slightly out and the floor isn't flat, it's going to give me a different reading. If you ever get on your scales, take a measurement, move them a centimetre. If your floor's not dead flat, it's going to give you a different reading. It's going to depend on the day. It's going to depend on the time of day. It's going to depend on your cycle, where you are in your cycle. It's going to depend on how hydrated you are. It's going to depend on whether you've been to the loo. Oh my God, I used to go, I just remembered this. I used to be in the queue for the Weight Watchers weigh-in, and I'd go to the toilet, and then if it was another 10 minutes before the queue went down, I'd have to go to the toilet again, because maybe there's a little bit of wee in there. Maybe I can squeeze it out. Maybe that'll just take me down that extra pound or half pound or whatever it is. And when we think about doing things like that, it is crazy, isn't it? It is crazy. So there's lots. Again, this is so much I could go into loads of depth on, and I do in the online program, the 10-week program. The studies are showing us that being overweight or obese is not proven to cause us the long list of health issues that we have. We've been led to believe. So there's lots of studies, and not just tiny little studies, but massive scale studies. For example, a study in Norway of 1.7 million Norwegians found that people in the overweight categories lived longer than those in the underweight. So that goes against what we've been told. We've been told overweight is going to kill you one way or another, haven't we? Another study showed that feeling fat, and what they meant by feeling fat is the bigger the distance, the difference between your actual weight and the weight you want to be. So if that is say 4 stone, what your weight is versus what weight you want to be, then that will have more negative impact on your health than if you are the same weight, but you only felt that you're a stone overweight. Does that make sense? So the more overweight you think you are, regardless of what actual weight you are, the more overweight you think you are compared to your ideal body size, the more impact that has on your mental well-being. And we can't tell by looking at somebody, can we, what their health condition is. Thin people, small people get high blood pressure, diabetes, etc., etc. And again, another study showed that comparing obese women's blood pressure, different women who were all in the obese category, those who had dieted had higher blood pressure at the same weight than those that hadn't. So the diet is causing the issues that we're told it's the weight that's causing them. I'm just conscious of time. I did promise that I was going to keep these to about 45 minutes. So body image isn't a problem in your body. It is a mindset. So body image, when I talk about body image, my definition of it is what is your thoughts and feelings about your body. So you can have positive body image, negative body image, neutral body image, somewhere in between. So if it is a mental and emotional thing, it can't be changed by changing your body. And that is exactly like that earlier slide of the woman in the slightly bigger body versus her when she was slimmer. She thought slimness was the answer, but actually if it's your body image that is the problem, that's causing you to hold back in life so much, then it's not going to be fixed by changing your body. You know, you could go to, imagine you can wave a magic wand and have the perfect, your whatever perfect body you've been told or you believe is ideal for you. It wouldn't make you happy. You would find something else, as I've been saying, to shift, to obsess with, to determine your mood and your well-being and all the rest of it. So we can shift those thoughts and feelings. We can change those. We've learned them. I keep saying this, that we're not born hating our bodies. So we learn that, so we can unlearn it. Neuroplasticity means that we can shift our mindset. We can shift beliefs. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible. It takes subconscious mindset work, belief work that I do with my clients that I work with. So just popping in the phrase for today, food is our friend. And this always makes me think of is it the Finding Nemo or Finding Dory, where the sharks are talking about fish are friends, not food. But so if you put that in the email, that's fine too. Food is our friend so make a note of that. So this is just a comment from a lovely Catherine, who came on my program a few months ago. I know there's nothing wrong with me and my body, just the way it looks now, and that I don't need to look another way. I've spent 15 years judging my body, dieting, feeling like my body isn't good enough, despite all the things it's achieved. I will not continue to shame myself anymore. There's enough of that false storytelling in the media, and I'll no longer do it to myself. And I remember when she had this lovely epiphany moment, it was in a yoga class, and she told us about it afterwards. And she just suddenly said to herself, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. And like I said, it's going back to this. It wasn't this sudden light bulb when she went, oh my God, I'm the most beautiful and I have the most incredible body in the world. It was this, there's nothing wrong with me. And she'd been thinking there was something wrong with her for all of these years. That was a beautiful, beautiful moment. I just wanted to pop this in because I've been talking about a lot of things, like I said yesterday, a lot of things that could be difficult for you if you feel like you're struggling with patterns of behavior that might be coming into disordered eating or maybe even eating disorders. I just wanted to make sure I was giving you some resources of where you can get some support with that. So how do we escape? How do we start feeling at peace with food, really starting to believe about other people aren't thinking what we think they're thinking about us? Just some of the general overview of my 10-week group coaching program, which I'll talk a bit more about tomorrow. The first big step is taking off the blinkers. And once we do that, we can't put them back on again. Once we realize where all this comes from, like what I was saying earlier on about the diet industry and the beauty industry, both of those organizations, both of those industries tell us there's something wrong with us so that they can sell us a fix. So a classic example of this is cellulite. 50 years ago, nobody thought cellulite was a problem. It was just a thing that a lot of people had on their body, and it was a type of skin tone. But then Vogue magazine started advertising a cellulite cream, telling us cellulite was ugly and bad and needed to be removed. It was a flaw. And oh, here's a really nice, beautiful, expensive cream. And I think that happened in about the 60s or something. So before the 60s, cellulite wasn't an issue. We were told it was an issue so that we could be sold a fix for that issue, which really, really makes me cross. And it's so true of diets and so many other beauty products, isn't it? 7 signs of aging. Is it 7 signs, or have they increased it to 11 signs? Like, oh, yeah. Shall I go off on that tangent, that rant as well? So aging is another thing that we are told, particularly as women, we're not allowed to do. You can get old, but don't, whatever you do, let yourself look old. Don't get wrinkles. Don't let your hair go grey. Cover it up, for goodness sake. Put some slap on your face so you can't see the age spots and all the rest of it. But aging is a privilege. So many people don't get the privilege of aging because they die young. So I know which I would rather have. So yeah, taking the blinkers off is something I help you do without ranting too much, I hope. And once we see that, and that's one of the biggest shifts that people on my program or coaching one-to-one with me see, they kind of come back to me and go, I can't believe I'm noticing this. I can't believe I didn't notice it before. For example, one woman in the last round of my program that just finished the other day, She is in a group of friends who do a lot of fitness together, and she's just really noticing how people are talking about this whole like, oh my God, I'm so naughty. I went out for my mum's birthday, I had a massive piece of cake. Again, you're not burning down an orphanage. You are not naughty for having a piece of cake. And then talking about going to the gym to work it off. And she actually used the word punish herself for having the cake and enjoying it. Life is too bloody short. Eat the cake. So once we take the blinkers off, we start working on real mindset shifts, and we start doing some real subconscious work, because as I said yesterday, we can't just change the 4% of our brain. So things like today, things like information gathering or learning, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching films, they're going to have a really positive effect, but only on the conscious 4% of the brain. So where we need to get to is that 96% that is underneath that where our beliefs are ingrained, where our stories come from, where our patterns and our habits for many, many years are embedded. We need to shift those. And I gave you a tiny, tiny taste of that. If you did close your eyes and just feel into some of those things I was talking about earlier on, that's what we do. We do some visualizations, and I give you hypnotherapy tracks to listen in your own time, and to really try and start to shift, not try, we do start to shift that belief system and that thinking. So if this is of interest, please give me a shout. Let me know. I would love to book a really short, informal, no obligation whatsoever chat with you to see if you were interested in going deeper. So that is it for today. Where are we? 53. That's not bad for having started a little bit late because of tech issues. So thank you so much for being here. Let me know, have you got any final questions or comments? Tomorrow we are meeting on here at 4 p.m. I hope that works. As I said yesterday, I wanted to give just different times of day so that different people might be able to access the call live, but obviously you can watch it on replay as well. So we're here at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and that's Thursday, for the final of these sessions. Can't see any comments. I know there's a slight delay as to when the comments come through to me, but hopefully I haven't missed anything or missed any questions. Do feel free to pop them in the comments anyway, even if you're on replay, and I will come back to them when I can. So thank you so, so much. I hope you've enjoyed today, and I really look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.